Oh, Patty twat. Patty twat. Oh my god.
Hey, thanks for
That's a
joining.
new
Can
one.
you mute your mic real quick? Thanks. Alright, I'll just start in a few minutes once some more people join up. Alright, so today's stream is just a weekly market analysis stream. So I'll just be going through the main crypto charts, main things to look out for, and just projections for this week and next week. If you guys have any chart requests, make sure to throw them into the live stream trading chat. And yep, this session will also be recorded and uploaded to YouTube afterwards. You can also view the stream on YouTube if there's any quality issues. Yep, good morning, Bill. Nice to see you here. Alright, so I'll just make a start now. Other people can join later on. So we just had some red folder news about 30 minutes ago, and they pretty much came out as expected, so probably not too much impact on the crypto market. Moving on now to the charts. So for Bitcoin, the two zones you can see are marked out in the blue boxes. So those are just previous 4-hour fair value gaps. Bearish fair value gaps we expected to act as resistance. You can see the bottom one has already been inverted and it has formed the local range lows. And then this current other 4-hour fair value gap is acting as the main resistance right now. So basically what I'm looking for further upside in the crypto market is a 4-hour candle closure above this H4 fair value gap, which is at 62,125. If we get a candle close break and candle close above that level, then it adds extra confidence to long setups, and we can look for further exposure into long positions. But yeah, for now, the bias is still bullish overall, just slightly, because we are holding this inverted 4-hour fair value gap well as support. And zooming out a bit, you can also see that the price has bounced from the range lows. Right, so it's just below 60,000, around 59,000 is the range lows, and where Bitcoin has bounced from. And usually in these sort of ranging sort of markets, right, you can see that the market has been ranging since the end of February. You use the rolling profile tool, and you use that to determine pretty much whether to be bullish or bearish. And you can see that we're currently below the value area low at 62,300. So below value area low is when you should be looking for long positions, and above is when you should be looking for short positions. Right, so that's the update for Bitcoin right now. Pretty straightforward stuff. Any chart requests, feel free to throw them into the chat. So I'll just now go through some other metrics and also the large cap coins first. As for funding rates, not too much to see here, pretty neutral. So yeah, it's not really telling us much in terms of this metric. So just mainly relying on price action right now. Right, so looking at Solana, you can see that it's initiating a very strong expansive move currently. And that pretty much confirms the reversal in my opinion. Right, you can see that Solana has also bounced from the range lows. Going down to lower time frames, we have the sweep of the low, confirmation of the bullish order flow, and bounce from the order block, inversion of the fair value gap, and finally a break through this H4 bearish order block. Alright, so that's pretty much a lot of confirmation for a reversal on Solana for the longer term. So at this point, we look for long setups. So we don't necessarily market entry right now, just because we'll be kind of chasing, and we would not have a good risk to reward with the stop loss placement. So we wait for a small retrace first, and then we look to enter long. But mainly we're looking for this order block to now act as support, so flipped into resistance, flipped from resistance into support. Yeah, sure, I'll check out TIA. So I was actually looking for a sort of long setup on TIA, because it's sort of formed the classic long entry model, right? Which is firstly a sweep of the swing low, strong buyback, and retrace into a key zone. And here we have the H4 inverted fair value gap, and you can see that it's actually held that zone quite well, and it's now bouncing from it. So in my opinion, you would rather be looking for longs over shorts on TIA. And yeah, you can also see it's actually also kind of bouncing from the very high time frame level of the weekly order block. And also it has formed the classic counter range theory reversal setup as well on the weekly chart, which is a sweep of the previous week low. And this weekly candle is shaping up to sweep the low and close above the low. So sweep the low and close above is bullish, and we can target the previous week high at 8.33. Okay, so pretty straightforward if you use the higher time frame chart like this. So 8.33 will be the first major target. On the daily time frame, you can also see that it's bouncing from the order block, so that's good as well. And we also have this daily fair value gap at 7.285, which we can also use as the first target. It's a good first target because it's roughly the 50% range of the weekly candle range, right, 50% retracement. So with all of that, it's looking like it's like a pretty clear price action right now. So probably a move up to the daily fair value gap, which is also the 4-hour bearish order block, slight retrace, and then continuation further. So this is basically what I'm expecting at the moment. And yeah, if we get the H4 inversion on Bitcoin, basically confirmation of further bullish order flow, then I'll be looking to enter long on TIA as well. It's looking very solid in my opinion. Yeah, any other chart requests, feel free to let me know. But good spot on TIA. Have a quick look at Ethereum as well. So yeah, just in the short term, it's looking quite decent as well. Mainly just because of how it's bounced off this 4-hour fair value gap. So it's kind of confirming bullish order flow. So you would look to prefer longs over shorts on Ethereum as well. Right, so I just wanted to go through sector by sector as well. Now's a good time to do that. Meme coins firstly, and Bonk is well look at first. And yeah, I do have an ongoing long position on Bonk, and in my opinion, it's one of the best and clearest long setups across the market right now. So I alerted the market entry yesterday, and then today we had a sort of downside movement down to the 4-hour fair value gap, and that's where I added more to the position. So my average is roughly around like 0.0219, and in my opinion, it's looking very solid right now. Okay, so it has bounced from the 4-hour fair value gap very nicely. It's held the 4-hour breaker block. The high time frame liquidity targets has been fulfilled. Weekly candle low, daily fair value gap. So a lot of confluence here. I'm very confident in further upside on Bonk here. And my first target is the weekly candle high, 0.0256. And then we have the H4 order block, 0.0285. Right, so those are just my initial targets for now. But yeah, since the bottom is most likely in on the higher time frames, this reversal can take us a lot higher as well, and we can see where to go from there. Yeah, Solana is acting very strong indeed right now, and I think this expansive movement is very good for further upside in the longer term as well. I talked a bit about it just before, but yeah, you can see that it's broken past this bearish order block, and it's definitely showing bullish order flow. So we looked at Bonk. We can have a look at the other memes as well. So Pepe Coin, you can see, has held this daily fair value gap very well. So that also sort of gives the confirmation that the bottom has formed already. Even if you use like a basic trend line like this, you can see that it's broken past the trend line very nicely. And in terms of the short-term price action, you can see it's continuing to hold the 4-hour fair value gap. So although it's not as strong of a setup as on Bonk, I still think it is bullish. Alright, so the targets would just be old highs 0.0139 and 0.0158. And 158 is good because those are the equal highs. Yeah, sure. I'll check out Link and LDO. Okay, so it looks like the higher time frame liquidity target has been swept. This weekly candle low at 12.83. So that sets the bottom and sets up for a reversal movement. I don't actually think Link is being delisted on Binance. I think it's just like a really niche trading pair. Like I'm pretty sure the USDT and USDC pair should still be available. It's just one of those like niche tether US tether pairs. Like I think Blur, right? It's being delisted with the FUSD or whatever it is, and it doesn't really affect the actual availability of the token. You can still buy it using normal USDT and USDC, so nothing to worry about in terms of that news. Alright, so in my opinion, bottom is in on link, you can see after sweeping this weekly low and also this daily candle low, we saw very strong buyback, and you can see that the down close candle before this move, the order block has been validated because it's bounced off that zone, so that's good. And then lower time frames, yeah, it's looking quite promising, especially with how Bitcoin's starting to move up as well. Right, it's giving some bit of catalyst for alts to get moving as well. Just in terms of the short term, we have this order block here, which I want to see being flipped into support, and then that could be our trade entry point. Right, so it'll look something like this. Okay, so we enter on a break and retest of this H4 order block, which is located at around 14.5. Right, hopefully that's clear enough. And in terms of the upside targets, right, it's not as important at this stage, since we are expecting Bitcoin to go from range lows to range highs, right? So the important thing is getting a good entry, basically not being shaken out, and then being patient enough to hold the swing position all the way, potentially back to the range highs. Right, but we do have the daily fair value gap 16.43, so that could be the first significant resistance zone after this H4 order block that we have here. Right, so hopefully that's all clear enough. Any questions, let me know in the chat. Alright, so great. LDO, David says ETF narrative, and yeah, that's a very good point, because we do have the Ethereum ETF launch coming up very soon. I do have a list of those coins related to Ethereum. Let me just try to find it. Right, so it's ENS, Pendle, ENA, LDO, ETC, Ethereum Classic, ARB, Arbitrum, OP, Optimism, ETHW, Ethereum Work Token, and Pepe. So all of those coins you should have as a separate watch list, and try to observe any significant strength and outperformance. And the reason I say that is because narrative is one of the most important factors for price movement in crypto. Right, when there is no narrative, then there is less buying pressure and momentum. When there is narrative, it sort of acts as a catalyst for price to expand even further. Right, so this is the list. I can actually, yesterday I tried to, 2 days ago, I tried it long on Pendle, but yeah, alts in general were not performing well and it ended up stopped out. But we can look to see if we can get and re-entry if it shows a proper setup. But firstly, looking at LDO. Right, so I always just start on the weekly time frame real quick, just to see if there's any weekly candle highs and lows that we can mark out. In this case, just this high here, and potentially this low here, but it does not necessarily have to be swept again, since we already have a strong buyback from this daily candle low here. Overall, it looks okay. You can see it's in an uptrend, and also it bounced off this very small daily fair value gap. Only thing is it is retracing quite strongly, so I prefer to see a couple green candles form before taking entry, just so I'm not stuck in drawdown the second I open the trade, because obviously when you're holding a trade in drawdown, it can get quite stressful. So just to keep it simple, the entry points, you can draw a fib and just enter from the golden pocket zone, which is 62 to 79, and that's 2.18. And actually that aligns quite nicely with this local demand zone as well. So alert's set at 2.19. Yeah, something like that. 2 green candles on the 15 minutes, something like that. Like obviously, once you have experience, you sort of know what to look for. But like 2 green candles, as in like one's indicating some momentum and buyback. Right, and in terms of that, right, just basic candlestick patterns can definitely help a lot as well, right? So you can see like this is obviously a bearish candle. Some people call it shooting star, where price wicks ends up leaving a massive wick, ending up with a wick above and close below. Right, that's obviously bearish. But if you see the other way around, like a hammer candle where it wicks below and closes above, then that's a early bullish indication. So if you like to be more precise with your trade entries, that's one way you can do so. Just waiting for some momentum to form off your point of interest, and potentially also using candlesticks on the lower time frames. Yeah, so SFP is swing failure pattern, and that's a good one to use as well. It's basically where the candle wicks above and closes below, or the other way around, wicks below and closes above, right? So wicks below, close above is bullish, wicks above, close below is bearish. Okay, awesome. So that's the plan for LDO. I looked at Pepe coin just before. Just a quick comment on Pendle. So this blue box here is the H4 breaker block. So that is somewhat holding quite well. But yeah, I'm not really favoring an entry just yet, just because of how steep this retrace was. So I want to see break of structure first, at least. So basically candle close above here. Right, so I won't go through all of the coins on the list, but I'll check it out today or tomorrow, and of course I'll let you guys know of any setups that look particularly interesting in the watch list channel. So make sure to check out the watch list channel whenever you can. It's a really good way to stay updated on what's going on in the market. Yeah, that's a good point. So shooting star is more or less a swing failure pattern. They definitely have a lot of similarity. So you can see here, this right here is a shooting star candle, right? And if it went a little bit higher, it would have wicked above and closed below. So it would have been both a swing failure pattern and shooting star candle. Yeah, SFP is swing failure pattern. It's basically where price wicks above a resistance zone but closes back below it. So it's kind of like a fake out candle pattern. Same same applies to the other way as well for support. So if it wicks below the support level and then closes above, then that's a bullish swing failure pattern. Right, so before I was going through the meme coins, so I went through Bonk Pepe coin. I'll check out PopCat real quick as well. So I think Kevin got an entry from 0.50 just an hour ago, so that's quite insane. Up 10% already, very nice. Yeah, so definitely you can see it has been very strong, so that's a good spot by Kevin here. This H4 candle closure would be quite telling because we have this order block here. If it closes above with a very large body candle rather than as a wick, then that is very bullish. It flips this order block into support. We call that a breaker block, and we expect that to subsequently act as a support zone. Yep, so very nice entry by Kevin here. Not too much past price action to work with, but you can use this old high 0.73 as the main target. Just real quick on Floki coin. So you can see I previously marked out the range low and range high. It's bouncing back from the range low, as is most coins right now, and it's sort of forming a reversal pattern here, right, which is sweep of the swing low and then bounce back from the order block. So yeah, looking fairly bullish, although not as strong of a setup as Bonk, in my opinion. And yeah, FTM I was looking at before, and I did alert an entry on it already. Pretty much if you entered after my alert, you probably should be green already, because it went straight down after I alerted, but it did bounce back already, so that's good. But it's pretty simple stuff here. Right, I begin with the weekly time frame, and I look for a candle to use as the sort of main range. So this is the candle here, because it formed a large range. There's a lot of inside bar candles, and therefore it marked out this weekly candle low and this weekly candle high. And you can see that price saw strong buyback after sweeping the weekly candle low. So that's why I think that the bottom has likely formed on FTM. And you can see that we are buying off a retrace from here down to the order block, and you can see that it's sort of reacting from the order block. So that's kind of our confirmation for a trade entry. I tend to prefer this sort of entry model because it sort of gives some decent confirmation of the trend reversal, but at the same time it's also a fairly early entry to give you the maximum risk to reward ratio. Sure, I'll check out WooCoin. And yeah, I saw your analysis before on it and definitely agree with the idea that the bottom should have formed already. Right, you can see using the candle range theory concept as well. It's looking like a pretty solid setup. Right, using the previous weekly candle. Indicator's taking a while to load, but yeah, using the previous weekly candle as the range, you can see that this current weekly candle has wicked below and shaping up to close above. So the subsequent opposite draw on liquidity is the previous week high, 0.25235. So definitely a very solid setup. Very nice buyback from the H4 fair value gap as well. So bullish order flow is confirmed. Do you have an entry on this already, David, or looking to get an entry? But yeah, definitely a very clear setup in my opinion, or sort of clear analysis, not necessarily an entry setup just yet. Okay, cool. So we have New York just opened. We're gonna have a look at what's going on. But overall, definitely, things are looking quite promising. Same sort of plan remains. Just looking for a 4-hour candle close above 62,125. In that case, I'll look to long Bitcoin and also some other altcoins as well. And as you can see, many altcoins have some very solid setups at the moment. Alright, let's go sector to sector again. So we looked at meme coins. Next is major caps. So we checked out Solana just before. Alright, and we said we don't market smash just yet because we enter on retrace for more favorable risks to reward, and it's also at the 4-hour order block at the moment, so it can definitely slow down a little bit here. AVAX. So mainly looking for a daily candle close above 27.2 because that's the previous daily candle low, and we don't want to see this flipped into resistance. But like some other coins we looked at before, you can see it's also shaping up to have the same setup in terms of the candle range theory on the weekly time frame, which is wicking below the previous week low and gearing up to close above. Right, so pretty much the plan is, if we get a closure on the daily time frame above 27.2, we can look for maybe a retrace to this blue box here, 26.5 for our entry point. This is the H4 fair value gap. Right, sure, I'll check out FET and Ondo. Right, you can see it has rejected from the weekly fair value gap. So definitely not as strong as the other altcoins right now. So not particularly interested in any setups on FET at the moment. So yeah, we can check back in a few days and see what it's up to, but right now nothing to note. Ondo coin. So it's good that it bounced off this daily fair value gap. In terms of the short term, it just seems to be some ranging price action, so not that expansive. If we draw the rolling profile, yeah, you can see it's currently at the point of control, so it can definitely stall a bit here. So overall, it's still bullish because of the higher time frame order flow, but for the short term, it doesn't have as clear of a setup as some other coins. Let's have a look at MKR. Yep, and you're definitely right, David, about the market structure on MKR here. It's very solid. So on the daily time frame, you can even see the break of structure. Yeah, so it definitely looks quite good. As for the entry point, you can probably just use this inverted H4 fair value gap, look for a retrace to that, and enter from there. Currently at the daily order block, so it can definitely slow down a little bit here. But yeah, longer term, you can expect it to fill the inefficiencies left above. So this daily fair value gap, 2,978. That's the main target. Alright, let's have a look at TRN. Alright, so definitely looks quite strong, seeing that it actually hasn't really dropped all that much compared to other altcoins. And yeah, you can kind of see it's forming a trend line here as well. Right, so overall it's quite strong, but it's not really the sort of price action that I would look to trade. Hey Cripster, just a heads up that you're unmuted right now, but that's okay. Yes, we just looked at Solana just before, and yeah, I told you, like I said a few days ago as well, that Solana looked quite bottomed out to me, and yeah, it's definitely looking quite good now as well. Right, so yeah, I was just looking at TRN as well, and it's a very strong uptrend, and in my opinion, any pullback close to this trend line here is a decent buying opportunity. And yeah, not too much else to say about it, I guess. Like it very recently put in an all-time high, so we don't really have concrete upside targets for it as well. Nice one on Wow, so the chart you shared 3.2 million, 10 million, solid 3x, nice. Alright, so I was looking at large caps before. So I&J was just something like this. So probably rejection around 24.42, and then we look to enter long from the breaker block 23.23. I can see that pretty much most of the coins we're looking at right now seem to have bottomed out. So yeah, for majority of cases, we're looking for long setups rather than shorts. Yeah, sure. Let's have a quick look at XAU. It's interesting that it's sort of stuck in a range recently. So yeah, with any ranging price action, we of course use the rolling profile. So yeah, value area low is holding quite well. Yeah, I don't really see any setup on it, but it's been a while since I traded Forex. Do you have an ongoing short position for XAU, David? Short form 2360. Oh, that's a very nice entry. Yeah, I don't really have any advice on that position though, but it seems to be leaning towards bearish order flow overall. But yeah, no super strong opinion from me at the moment. Yeah, 2277 is a good target. It's the candle low. Right, so we've looked through Bitcoin, large caps, and the meme coins so far. I'll just quickly go through Render as well, since it's the main AI token, arguably large cap basket as well. So I have an ongoing long position on this, and yeah, it's looking very solid now. So we have the higher time frame liquidity target swept out previously, weekly and monthly candle low. So you can see that even on the monthly chart, we have this candle low here, right, which was swept out. Same thing on the weekly chart. So weekly, monthly low has been swept. And then we have this bounce back, buyback from the daily order block. So that kind of forms our entry model, sort of our reversal confirmation. Right, so that is very good to see. So overall looking very solid. So I have my targets at this daily break of structure level and this daily fair value gap. But ultimately I expect Render to go all the way back to the range highs around 11.9. And yeah, I'll just clarify a little bit about sort of my sort of entry method. Let's draw out a sort of basic example. Right, so this is basically the sell side liquidity, the downside target, which we watch for a strong buyback from. So wait for the price to sweep this level, and then we want to see a strong buyback from this level. So rather than trying to catch the exact bottom, we look for a reversal confirmation. And one of my favorite entry models at the moment is just validation of an order block. Right, so for bullish scenarios, the order block will just be the red down close candle that dug into the liquidity pool. Right, so once price returns back to the order block and shows a sign of reversing from there, then that confirms the reversal, and I take an entry from there. So if you want to learn more about this entry method, I have a short 7 or 8 minute video available in the video lessons library called How to Identify Trend Reversals and Entry Points. I also recommend going through this PDF or the webinar titled Achieving Consistency in Trading through a Multi-Step Analysis for Trade Setups. Right, but you can see that pretty much it's a fairly straightforward approach where you start off with analyzing the metrics and market narratives, and then you go from the higher time frames down to the lower time frames. And you can see how I do the higher time frame analysis is pretty straightforward. It's just starting with the weekly time frame and marking out the weekly candle range. So choosing a weekly candle that has formed a large range and marking its lows and highs, and observing how price reacts to sweeping either side of the range. And then moving down to lower time frames and basically identifying local liquidity and basically order flow, right? Marking out the fair value gaps, order blocks, and seeing how those are being respected or disrespected. And that's basically my main way of analyzing and framing trading setups. Right, cool. So I think I'll wrap it up around here. Is there any more chart requests before I go? Right, awesome. Thank you guys for attending today. I'll be streaming again next Wednesday, New York Open. So hope to see you guys there again.